Right, one of the other great things that, one of the other great passages, Ayn Rand has a passage where essentially this idea of the self-made man, part of moral ambitiousness and part of the whole idea, which I know Yaron Brook is going to be talking about next, part of the whole ideal of pursuing one's self-interest means never failing to pronounce moral judgment. Right? To say, look, you may have an opinion about what I'm doing, how I'm pursuing my self-development. I have a brain. I have a rational capacity. I can evaluate that given the facts. Now, the people who will contribute and who will actually on this other side have something to say, can help you out, etc., will see that and will want to help promote your self-development. And you'll be able to see, I think, probably in your own experience, the difference between people who want to make a claim on you and say, don't go there, you're surpassing me, you're no longer listening to me, etc., and people who want to promote your self-development because they see that it's in their rational self-interest. Because the better that you become, right? I mean, if someone says, look, this business idea you have, it's a big risk here and you're not taking account of this variable, and you say, oh, wow, now I can take account of that variable. Why are they telling you this? Well, because they see you're a potential trading partner in the future. If you're successful, if your business takes off, you're a better friend, a better business partner, or whatever to have. Whereas if someone's trying to pull you back, if mom's saying, oh, but don't violate the family traditions, etc., they're pulling you back, what does that mean? That means they're trying to stop your self-development. Now, you have to evaluate those, right? You have to morally judge which of those is actually contributing to your self-development and based upon a real standard, right? You say, look, are your concerns, you're yelling there's a cliff, is there a basis for that in reality? Or are you just trying to scare me? All right, and that, I think, is the way to differentiate those types of when should you just plow forward and ignore people? Because inevitably, as you go through this process in business, in life, in social life, etc., there are always going to be people pulling like that. But there's also going to be people who have advice, and experience will teach a lot. Yeah. There was another question. I don't know how to feel. The microphone's in the back, so I guess we go to the mic.
Okay. Hello, good morning. First of all, thank you for the talk. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
If the measure of success is not being a billionaire or not inventing the iPhone, not having a super hot wife, why do we keep referring to that as the measure of success? Aren't we fostering new generations of just frustrated youth that they will never be good enough?
Well, so this is an interesting question. If the standard of success is not necessarily being a billionaire, inventing a new iPhone, having a hot wife, I forget the last thing you said, but if those aren't the standard of success, is there a danger in promoting those as the measure of success? Well, I think there is something to that, right? Now, I want to clarify. Making $1 billion or becoming, whatever wealth is. I mean, in a generation it'll be $1 trillion just to be wealthy, right? With the way the money system is going. But not to depress all of you, but that can be your goal. That can be your measure of success. If you set that, if your chosen goal is, I want to have a level of success that is, that puts me at a financial position as such, that can be your goal, but it doesn't have to be. The problem, though, as you point out, there is a cultural standard, right? And that cultural standard of what is defined as success can have an effect on what people pursue. Now, if you ask me, just off the cuff, what is our cultural definition of success? Well, it's probably getting 15 minutes of internet fame and having a sex tape and being famous, and then being able to launch a career as, I don't know, what is it Kim Kardashian does? I mean, a career as famous for being famous or being related to someone famous. I mean, culturally, there is a very, very important barometer, as it were, of what people see as successful. Right now, yes, money, having a hot wife, having a certain kind of fame is what's seen as successful. Why aren't we championing, for example, the geeks of Silicon Valley, right? The guys and the men and women who actually, put together the technologies that make the iPhone possible? Why aren't we, as a culture, championing the people who do reach success, but not necessarily in all of these levels, right? What a culture measures as its success, what it sees as successful, does tell us a lot about the values that culture holds. And right now, I'd say ours is pretty mixed, right? Our culture does sometimes value genuine success. We see this periodically in certain moments of cultural episodes. In the Olympics, people genuinely value the hard work and determination that it takes to attain that level of performance. Sometimes people do celebrate the individuals who attain business success, but there's also a lot of image success, false success that doesn't really have a grounding in anything. I mean, I don't want to completely disparage. Not all of it is worthless, but it tells you that if fame is being pursued for its own purposes, right, as opposed to for the achievements that you have, that might be a barometer of a bad sign in the culture. And the culture championing the success of people, people who have all sorts of problems. I mean, they're fascinated by the people that, the more defective the person is, the more famous they become. I mean, it's weird, right? I mean, defective as in like sort of socially defective, not physical deformities, but like, oh, I've had 6 wives and I have 27 children and oh, I now have my own reality TV show, right? I mean, if you say, and that suddenly that turns into success, that might be a bad thing, right, as a culture. What we need to do is we need to value true achievement, right? Life-promoting achievements, which the last I checked, having a reality show doesn't do a whole lot to promote one's true achievement. Building companies, having successful relationships. I mean, even something so simple as having a successful family, right? I mean, this is the point, that success can be defined on all levels, that it doesn't only appertain to those on the upper echelons of wealth and notoriety. Success can be choosing consciously to have a family and choosing consciously how you're going to rear your children to make them the best, happiest, most successful children you possibly can, and then engaging in that process, and then seeing those children grow up, develop, become educated, and become successful adults. That can be a measure of success. It's one that's not going to get reported in the papers. It's one that's not going to become no one's going to know about this besides you and your immediate family and your friends. But that can be a tremendous gauge of success. I mean, after all, being a successful parent I'm not one myself. I'm not a parent, so I'm successful or otherwise. But I'm sure that can be an incredibly rewarding experience. And to the extent that people choose to do that, right, rather than the kind of accidental parenthood that we seem so common today, right, that, it just sort of happens and I sort of raise the kid or whatever. But to choose to do that as a value can be incredibly rewarding, possibly more so than making those millions of dollars, if that's what you value. Right? So the cultural side, there is a kind of cultural barometer there that I think you've identified. But at the same time, we as a culture, we have to celebrate the success and promote the idea of success on a rational model. Right? We have to, you just, instead of saying, oh yeah, what did Kim Kardashian do? Say, oh hey, did you hear about this great businessman? Right? Or oh hey, did you hear about this, my friend who's really doing a great job parenting? Or oh, hey, my friend who just got promoted or whatever. I mean, to actually promote that culturally, right, would do a lot. Would do a lot to bring back that idea of self-making as a true rational pursuit. And so that's all we have time for? Okay, so thank you very much. Gentlemen, I appreciate it. If you have more questions,